Yo, we're back. Episode 75, where my killer tape at. I'm gonna do a spoiler-free review of Spider-Man Far From Home. We also gonna talk about Area 51. Shout out to Orson Welles. I am gonna review Damon Young's If It Doesn't Kill You, It Makes You Blacker. And brought back the health segment. I know it's been a minute since I brought back the health segment, so my bad on that one. And I'm gonna talk about the MCU San Diego Comic-Con announcements. Let's do this. Yo, where my killer tape at, B? I know this movie came out a few weeks ago, but I'm not gonna give you any spoilers on it. This is gonna be my spoiler-free review of Spider-Man Far From Home. First, let me just jump off real quick and say that I never ever dug Mysterio. I mean, he was dope in the Old Man Logan story, and I don't want to spoil that for you either because he's instrumental in that story. But I never was a fan of his. Actually, there's a lot of people in the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery that I'm not really a fan of, but he's somebody that I wouldn't dig. But I love how the MCU has taken a lot of the villains that I wasn't particularly, on board for. Like, for example, the Vulture, and they used Michael Keaton to play the Vulture, and he nailed it. Same thing with Far From Home. Jack Gyllenhaal nailed it as Mysterio. They switch up the story like the MCU usually does, but I think they do a dope job. So let me just shout out to Jake Gyllenhaal for that one, because that motherfucker can act. He's had some questionable choices in the past, like when he played an Arab dude in that one video game, a movie adaptation of that one video game, but he did his thing thizzle though. Tom Holland is probably the best Spider-Man so far, in my opinion. I didn't like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I thought he was horrible as Peter Parker. But he does a great job. And I forget that he's not a teenager anymore. Like, I forget. I be like, oh shit, he's not a teenager. I know a lot of people have issues with the idea that all his homies were gone in the snap. And they all came back. But I like that cast. Like, I couldn't see him without his homie, without MJ, without Flash Thompson. I just really couldn't see it. And Aunt May, like, I really couldn't see them without that. I mean, really, quite honestly, you can't see Peter Parker without that cast. So they had to do it that way. I know there's, they got a lot of explaining to do, but they had to do that. But anyway, everybody like really steps up the game acting. I can't believe I forgot her name. That plays Aunt May. She's always been dope. Like, she's been dope since day one. Like, and I know she won an Academy Award back in the day. Tamisa, I forgot her fucking name. Anyway. She's dope as Aunt May. I noticed that they really had her wearing tight clothes to really show her butt. I saw that. But she did a dope job as Aunt May. I think that was dope. I like how they dealt with the snap. I think that was really dope. I like how they showed what happened during the snap and what happened when everybody came back. I thought that was really dope how they did that. And it's just, they show how people, there are people that are saying that the kids should have been suffering PTSD for being gone. But if you remember in Avengers Endgame, everybody came back. So everybody that was in the snap, they came back instantaneously. So whatever, it's like they never been gone. To the rest of us, it was 5 years, but to everybody else, they never been gone. So I thought that was dope. Sam Jack did his thing as Nick Fury. I really like, he did his thing. Like, please stay to the end because both end credit scenes are significant to the movie and the MCU. I really think you gotta watch it because usually the end credit scenes, one will be significant and one will be funny. But I think you really gotta stay for it. But later on, I'm gonna rank the MCU movies, and I know people don't really technically consider it because it's a Sony movie, but it's an MCU movie because MCU characters are in it. Overall, the fight scenes were dope. they weren't confusing. I was scared that the fight scenes were going to be confusing, but they weren't. But then again, Kevin Feige, I trust him. And MCU, I trust them. They do a really good job. I can't wait for Spider-Man 3. It's really going to be dope. Everybody's trying to figure out who the villain's going to be, but definitely a dope movie. Anybody will like it. Somebody asked me, do you have to watch the previous movies? Yes, you do. You have to watch Spider-Man Homecoming for the setup. You do have to watch Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame to kind of dig it. And you definitely got to watch Captain Marvel. So, there's some MCU movies you can watch separately, but this one is a couple that you got to watch. So, definitely, and hopefully in the next episode, we got a couple more to go before the season's over. We're going to do a spoiler-filled review. So I gotta talk about this Area 51 thing. I know everybody's talking about it. I think it's hilarious, but I think it's also interesting to watch. Being a historian, and no, I'm not a sociologist, because I know some sociologists are having a great time with this. But I think it's ill to watch, right? Because what happened was this one guy clearly he's a cosplayer. Clearly he cosplays Mandalorians because he's a Mandalorian. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna show my geek card here. And he makes a video on Snapchat, I believe, that goes viral, and he talks about, we should all unite and bum rush Area 51 and just free the aliens or some shit. Actually, his words were clap some alien cheeks, which I'm still trying to figure out what he means by that. I don't know. I don't know who says that. So I'm just gonna keep that one, you know what I'm saying? That's above me, right? But I think a couple of things that it reminds me of. First of all, because it went viral, and now they have all these memes out there. But there are actually people talking about doing it. There are actually people that are talking about going down to Area 51 in Roswell, New Mexico, and talking about that, and going down there and doing. Some people are saying like a parade. Some people are saying like a protest. I've heard people say rave, and some people have been whispering about bum rushing the show. And I try to be careful because I don't want to like put that out there, but I just want to say that it's real interesting that that's happening, especially in the day of the internet. Because if somebody said this 30 years ago, it would just be a rumor. And really, I want y'all to go back to the 2 episodes I did on the conspiracy theories, because it's kind of like how that all happens. But I think what stands out the most is that it reminds me. I mean, I wasn't alive when this happened. I'm old, but I ain't that old. Orson Welles did a radio broadcast of War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. They're not related. And actually, War of the Worlds is actually a pretty dope book. It's old, but it's pretty dope. It really was ahead of its time. I know they made a movie with that bum ass Tom Cruise in it, which actually it wasn't that bad. But there's actually an original version of black and white that's actually really good as well. Anyway, I bring this up to say that this happened in 1938. This is before the invention of television. And at that time, everybody would, at night, during supper, people would sit around the radio and listen to radio dramas. So they have everything from, like The Phantom, Hamlet, whatever your take was. I know President Roosevelt at that time had what was called fireside chats. I think he did that once a week where he kind of like addressed the nation. But anyway, they used to do these radio dramas, and Orson Welles did one. And if you read War of the Worlds, the epilogue starts with a news broadcast of an alien invasion. Now, we got to really think, because when we think everybody listens to the radio, we think that everybody listens to one channel. No, everybody listens to different channels, and it depends on what region of the country or the world that you were in. You didn't get anything, you know what I'm saying? So, when they did War of the Worlds, it wasn't like it was broadcast and the whole country heard it. But anyway, a lot of people, because it came in the way that it did, it did the epilogue, and then someone said, hey, Orson Welles reading War of the Worlds. And let me just say this, Orson Welles, you can actually go online and listen to the broadcast. Orson Welles' voice is actually kind of scary, dope, but it's scary. It kind of reminds me of pre-Vincent Price. And anyway, he does this broadcast, and there's some panic. There's some people that actually believe that there's an alien invasion. And then, as the story is going on, what happens is somebody calls the police, and there's actually police officers coming into the building where this is being broadcast, and it's almost like a near riot, right? Because the producer and the people that work at the station are like, hey, it's not what you think. And you know how police are. They're like, man, get the fuck out of here. We want to see what's going on. They're causing problems, etc., etc. But it's just, that's what it reminds me of, because I don't know. I've heard that the federal government and the Pentagon is having meetings about this thing, right? And I think that's real interesting how, and you know, this wasn't like a formal organization that's come out and declared it. No formal organization has come out and said, we're going to have a march over at Air 51. It's just a video that's gone viral. And that's probably like, you know, I hope it doesn't get dangerous. I really do. But it's just interesting to watch. Or of course, I'm going to talk about the MCU announcements at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. One day, we're going to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Me and my family, like the whole squad, me and my brood are going to go. So, and maybe a godchild or two, right? So anyway, during the San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige and his crew and the whole squad went out there. They had some announcements. And probably, like, I'm going to say this. I'm excited for some of the movies, but I'm more excited about the Disney Plus stuff. And I'm gonna get into the Disney Plus stuff in a second, but I know Blade is coming. Yep. And Mahershala Ali, Academy Award winning brother, is gonna be playing Blade, getting the bag. So shout out to him. I think that was a dope casting. I know, like, there are people out there who was like, oh, Wesley Snipes. And I hate to be this way, because I'm pretty sure Wesley Snipes could do it and he could do it justice, but I think he got to put the mantle over. I think you got to do it. I think it's only right that we do that. Turn it over to somebody else who can do it. I know Nick Fury's been, Samuel Jackson's been Nick Fury for a while, but Nick Fury's different because he doesn't really have to do anything physical. And it's not as physically demanding as, say, being Captain America or whatever. So I could see Nick Fury for another 8 years as long as he's physically able to do it. But yeah, Blade is coming back. I'm looking forward to it. Another movie I'm looking forward to is a Thor joint. I'm looking forward to that, and that's coming in 2021. Eternals comes in 2020, November 2020, and I never was really a big fan of the Eternals. Now, the only thing I'm hoping, because, I am a fan of the Celestials. I am a fan of the idea that the Celestials came to Earth and they had, they created three forms. They created humans, Eternals, and Deviants. And Deviants are like the genetic flop or slop of humanity. So they're kind of considered evil. And that genetic slop died out. But the Eternals are the most perfect, and they're eternal. They live forever. And they've been around for millions of years. So, but they were created by the Celestials, and I thought that if they bring the Eternals in, they could start talking about the Celestials and how they had a hand in the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But overall, all the Eternal stuff that came out, I was just whatever, I'm good, right? So, but it's kind of it could be a hit, right? Because I'm not a fan of Doctor Strange, it was a hit. I'm not a fan of Ant-Man, so it was a hit. So I trust Kevin Feige. But I was interested that they're gonna put Shang-Chi. That really shocked me. Shang-Chi is because Shang-Chi came out in the 60s, and he was kind of like a Bruce Lee. They ripped off of Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? So you had Iron Fist and you had Shang-Chi. And he was a character that's been revived recently on the Brian Michael Bendis? Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis brought him back in the Secret Avengers storyline, and he became an Avenger. And then when Jonathan Hickman did it, Jonathan Hickman put him in the actual Avengers. So they brought him back into prominence because of that. He made appearances before in the Iron Fist story, the Iron Fist stuff from the early 2000s. So he made some appearances in there, but now he made a more prominent appearance recently. I'm a big fan of Shang-Chi, and I'm glad he was brought back by Brian Michael Bendis and Jonathan Hickman. So I was really shocked that I saw that. They haven't casted who's going to play the role of Shang-Chi. They're saying the homie that was in that Black Mirror episode of Fighting Vipers, the one that he played in the Asian character. They're saying that he might be a runner-up for that. So we'll see, man. And then there is going to be the one I'm not really hyped about is Black Widow. Never was a fan of Black Widow. Didn't really see a need for her. But they're going to do a movie with her. And I saw who was starring in it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know who these people are, but I thought they was going to have like more S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff and more stuff from, the KGB era. But we'll see what happens. It might be dope. But that's going to be the next MCU movie on May 2020. And then we have the Disney Plus stuff. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now let's talk about the Disney Plus. In November of 2019, Disney is going to launch the Disney Plus streaming channel. And it's going to have all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff from the movies. Is it ABC? It's the ABC TV show S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then the Peggy Carter, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the human stuff. I don't know if they're gonna have the human stuff, and they're gonna have like all the Star Wars stuff, Star Wars Rebels, Clone Wars, all that stuff in there, and all the Disney movies they ever had, all the Disney TV shows from Disney that they had on the Disney Channel. All that stuff is gonna be on there, and then the Marvel stuff, and then Marvel's gonna be doing some live action TV series on there, and I know one of them that's gonna be kind of like interesting to me is going to be, first of all, What If. Like, I didn't see that coming. What If is probably my favorite Marvel comic because it asks you questions like, what if Wolverine was a vampire? What if the symbiote took over Peter Parker? All those kind of questions they had. Eventually, some of those stories became spin-off of alternate universes, but they're pretty good. They're one-shot issues, and Marvel has like done several volumes of it, but they're pretty dope. They're really, really, really dope. I highly recommend you going back to read it, but they're going to be it's going to be an animated series, but I'm looking forward to that a lot because I love that series. I'm looking forward to the Winter Soldier, Captain America one. That I'm really looking forward to that because I hope they really flesh out the Winter Soldier a little bit more and give us more storyline. And then, seeing Sam Wilson as Captain America, I loved it. I loved the run in Marvel Comics. I'm trying to remember who wrote it. Nick Spencer wrote that series. It was actually pretty dope. Daniel Kuna did the artwork. So again, you could probably find those on trades now. They're really inexpensive, so do that. So I'm looking forward to that. WandaVision, I never liked Scarlet Witch and the Vision story from the comic book. Not a fan. I am looking forward to Hawkeye. Big fan of Hawkeye. I know the people are saying that they might have an issue with him fighting, like going to fight cartels or fighting Yakuza. Like, if he's gonna fight, let it be like other villains, or fighting. If he's gonna fight like regular people on the street, let it be like white supremacist organizations, child slave people here in the United States that are, So yeah, I think that'll be dope. But I don't think Marvel's gonna do that. I think he's gonna be fighting other villains. I'm hoping he trains his daughter to be Hawkeye, because I know in the comic, Kate Bishop is Hawkeye, no relation to Clint Barton. So that I'm super looking forward to. Again, I'm a fan. And then there's going to be a Loki series. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Tom Hiddleston will be reprising his role as Loki, the god of mischief. So I can't wait for that. So I hope that, we're going to keep giving you more information. Well, I'm going to keep giving you more information as more information comes down the pike. But definitely looking forward to it. I am going to subscribe to Disney Plus. And I think they're going to make the price like $7.99 a month. It's going to be like real inexpensive. Word. It's all a game. It's all a game. My book club just finished reading Damon Young's "What Doesn't Kill You Make You Blacker," and it's a essay/memoirs written by Damon Young. Very smart brothers. And if you're not familiar with him, I don't know where you've been at, but it's usually you probably find him on the internet. I think to me, what I remember him the most for was his 2017 article, "Straight Black Men Are the White People of Black People," which is a fucking dope article if you haven't read it. I think it's been like almost 1 million times. But definitely check it out. It made the rounds, and some people call flag for it, and even though they weren't the writers of it. But anyway, he has a book out. Again, Very Smart Brothers is a dope website. They've been out for a while. So if you haven't checked that out, you might not be familiar with him at all. But definitely, this book is dope. And I know when you first look at it, it's big, it's intimidating, but it isn't. It's actually a pretty fast read. And I'm just going to say this. I wish I could write like him. He's introspective. He's funny. He's witty. He tells really great anecdotes about growing up in the hood. And then, it's just really dope. He deals with issues such as, relationships, business dealings, college, dealing with colorism, dealing with racism, dealing with manhood, masculinity, etc., etc. So there's something in here for everybody. I definitely think everybody gets something out of it. Everyone in my book club enjoyed it, and people outside my book club was like, "Hey, that's a really good book." So I recommend it. There were times when I laughed like out loud, and I can't remember the last time I did that in a book that had a series of essays. But again, he's also very introspective, and I like how in each essay he can literally change the climate within a paragraph. So I think that's really dope. He has a gift, man. That's what he does, and he's just dope. Because when you read the stuff on Very Smart Brothers, it's a lot of his political. But this one shows his versatility, and I hope to read some more stuff from him. Word.
Yeah. I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so. Yeah. I think Prince should run first on this one. I think so.
For this health segment, I want to talk about weight loss. I get a lot of questions on my IG story about weight loss, and I wanted to kind of put that all together into one segment for the show. And a couple of things first. I know that what we're learning is that cardio doesn't really help with weight loss. We're learning that, for example, if I was to, let's say, for example, I was to quote unquote cheat and eat more calories than I need to in a day. Like I go out somewhere and I have, more chicken wings than I normally have, and more dessert than I normally have, and like I really splurge. There's nothing I could do to fix that. You know what I mean? There's not enough cardio for me. I mean, I would have to do like cardio all day to get rid of those calories, right? So what I mean to say is that the cardio to weight loss ratio is like ridiculous. I wish I could give you numbers. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do cardio, because I do mostly cardio. I do cardio and I do capoeira. I do calisthenics. I do that. I don't do the weights. My body just isn't built for that. But so I'm not saying don't exercise. You should exercise. Matter of fact, you should exercise daily. You know what I mean? What's humanly and economically feasible for you, right? If that means walking, if that means biking, if that means jogging, if that means playing basketball, whatever it is that you do to exercise, you should do that regularly. It's just good for your heart. It's good for your blood. It's just, you'll live longer. I can go on and on about the benefits about that. But I want to talk about, weight loss. And two things. Number one, the problem that we have, the biggest mistake that we do is that we peg weight to health. We peg that to health. So we say that if you're fat, you're unhealthy, and if you're skinny, you're healthy, and that is actually incorrect. You can be slim and be out of shape. You can be heavy set and be in shape, right? I remember Rerun. You know what I'm saying? Remember Rerun? I know him personally. Rest in peace to him. And he was a heavy set dude. You see him on TV and he was heavy set. I saw him in real person. He was heavy set all up until the day he died. But he was a dancing motherfucker. I used to see him dance, and he would dance like there was a certain point in my life when I couldn't dance all night. I could dance, but I couldn't dance. I seen him at Rocksteady Anniversary. We'd be outside in the sun. He'd be dancing. And then later on at night, they have an event, and he'd be dancing, and he'd be like drenched in sweat. He'd just dance. But if you see him walking down the street, you'd be like, oh, he's probably sloppy, whatever. So, and I know there's exceptions to the rules, but I run into people like this all the time consistently, that they're heavy set and they do all kinds of stuff. And vice versa. I know people who are not heavy set, who, when you look at them, they're healthy, and you give them the rock, you give them a basketball, and They go up and down the court a couple times and they got a timeout. You know what I'm saying? So we shouldn't do that, right? And then when I train people, because I do train people every now and then, I always tell them, let's not make your goal to lose weight. Let's make your goal something else. Let's make your goal like, let me run 2 miles a day. I want to, by the end of the year or by the beginning of July of 2020, I want to run 2 miles a day. To me, that's a smarter goal, because if you want to continue to do that for the rest of your life, you have to maintain a certain lifestyle to be that way. That's number one. Number two, the reason why we shouldn't peg our weight to our health is because we usually use what's called the body mass index, or BMI, to learn what your body weight is and your body fat that you have and all that. And we've learned that that's really a bad measuring system, because the standard was a skinny white dude in Sweden, I think it was, something like that. And if you go around the world, most people are not built like that. So that BMI is not something that we should be used to set a standard for that. So those are the two reasons for that. Again, I always recommend people do a fitness goal, not a weight goal, a fitness goal, and that you want to continue to do. Again, the good example I'll be is, run 2 miles a day. You might not be able to do that next week or the month after, but maybe by October you'll be doing a mile a day, and then you can move up. But eventually you're going to be doing 2 miles a day. For you to stay that way, you got to maintain, eating healthy, exercising all the time, and all that. So I think that's a better idea. So I hope this helps anybody that's out there. If you have any questions, all my contact information will be at the end of the show. Word. For this episode, number 75, I do want to shout out the homie Aaron Pascal of AP2 Photography. The Mortal Man book has been released, so we're gonna have some more information on that upcoming. So it's dope. It looks freaking amazing. So shout out to you, brother. Shout out to DJ Ike of Wu-Tang Wednesday. I need to get out there. You the man. We're gonna do big things in the future. And shout out to the brothers from Medium Popcorn who shouted me out and they just butchered my name. I still love y'all. That's a really dope podcast if you get a chance to check it out. Word. Yes.
The name of the game is light works. Night of the scripts. The name of the game is light works.
And there you have it, party people. Episode 75 of Where My Killer Tape At. We got a few more to go before the end of the season, but I got y'all. If you want to book me for any panel discussions or workshops, or that capoeira, b-boy, intersectionality, masculinity, whatever, parenting, you know where I'm at. You can hit me at Gmail, DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi at gmail.com. Make sure you put bookings in the subject heading. If you just want to hit me up, the official Twitter for the show is Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast. And then I have my personal Twitter, which is usually lit, at DanTresOmi, DanTresOmi. Definitely, I appreciate y'all for checking me out. This is season 4, man. Word is born is almost there till an end, man. I appreciate y'all. Peace.